Hi, this is Annindita Palaus, and in today's video, I wanted to answer a very commonly asked question. And this particular question is by Yadira, who posted, I want to know how you can release negative energy from the body using Reiki and crystal. Well, that's a really good question, Yadira. Well, if you are specifically interested in learning more about crystals and how to combine crystal work with your Reiki energy work, then I would highly recommend that you check out my book, The Healing Sutras, on Amazon, because I really go a lot more into detail with crystal healing and how you can combine that with Reiki in this book. But without going into so much detail, today's video, I really wanted to focus on the energy basics. You know, when people talk about negative energy or positive energy, what does it really imply? And here is my take on it, that whether it is negative energy or positive energy, it is just energy. When we recognize it for being what it is just energy. It's just that we live in this time-space reality where there's a lot of duality or there's a lot of polarity. What I mean by that is that in this time-space reality, there is left because there is right. Without right, there will be no left. Without up, there will be no down. Without darkness, there will be no light. So because we live in such a polarized environment, we always think about life in terms of polarity, negative and positive. I'm not trying to say that negative and positive does not exist. It does. But it only exists at a certain level of consciousness. It is the level of consciousness that we experience in our daily life in this physical reality. But we have to understand that there is a consciousness beyond the physical reality that we experience on a daily basis. And at that level, at a more expanded level of consciousness, there is no polarity, there is no duality, there is only oneness, there is only this unified field of energy. When you understand that at its core, this whole universe is just raw energy, just pure potential, then you would stop looking at things or stop classifying things as being negative or positive. So one of the things that I often see in the Reiki community is that certain Reiki practitioners and teachers, they have been taught by their teachers and mentors to somehow protect themselves from negative energy that might be left over after they have worked on a certain client. And this is what I prefer teaching my students. You may resonate with it, you may not resonate with it. It is just something that I'm giving it out to you for consideration, and see if it resonates with you, if it is something that you want to experience yourself. So what I tell my Reiki students is this, that when you go with the perception that there is only oneness, that is just energy, everything is just energy, it is the same energy, there is no duality, then you don't really need to protect yourself from any bad influences, from any negative energy. On the other hand, when you feel like there is negative energy and there is positive energy, then automatically you will have this fear in your mind that after you work with a client, maybe there is some negative energy lingering around that can negatively influence you. And maybe now you need to do something extra with crystals or Reiki or something else, maybe burning some sage or burning some incense sticks, chanting some mantras. Just do something extra to release that negative energy. Now, there is nothing wrong in chanting mantras or in burning sage or in burning incense sticks or using crystals. Everything is all right. Whatever resonates with you, just use that. But the whole idea that there is something bad out there in the environment that could negatively influence you, that just makes you energetically more vulnerable to something actually influencing you. You could call it placebo, you could call it whatever you want to call it, the law of attraction, that like attracts like. But whatever it is that you are vibrating at, if you are feeling insecure, if you are feeling fearful, then whatever it is that you are afraid of is more than likely going to be attracted towards you just because of the fact that you are afraid of something. In fact, there is this saying that fear and it will happen. And I don't know who said this thing, but I've heard it many times, that fear and it will happen. And another awesome saying or abbreviation for fear that I came across is fear stands for false evidence appearing real. So every time you do a session with a client, or every time you feel like there is negative energy that you need to release or let go by using Reiki or crystals, it might be good to just go within and really face that fear and see that where is that fear really coming from? Is this really yours? Or is this something you have picked up from somebody else? Maybe you watched something on the television. Maybe you read something in the newspaper, or maybe something on social media. Maybe you were speaking to your neighbor or a friend and you picked up something from that conversation that just made you feel insecure or vulnerable or more fearful about being out in this world. So just become more mindful about where is your fear really coming from. Is it really your fear? And is it even valid? And one of the things that you will see often is when you become mindful about your fear, and instead of trying to avoid it and push it away, when you actually just be with it, you will see that it is actually false evidence appearing real. That there is really no rational or logical explanation behind the fear. Often, fear is nothing but just our imagination going wild. We just project our imagination out into the future with all sorts of weird expectations, which are often just based upon what we hear people talking about in our environment. And they are not even our own original thoughts or feelings or fear to begin with, but we just pick them up from our environment. So just do a little bit of self-introspection before you start releasing on the fear. And of course, one of the best ways to release on fear is meditation. That I have definitely seen as one of the most effective ways of letting go of any negative energy or any fear. Meditation is always very effective, and you can always incorporate whatever crystal that you resonate with. The thing with crystals is that it is your energy that charges the crystal up. Sure, everything in this universe has its own energy, has its own unique vibrational frequency. That's why everything appears so different, because even though at its core we are the same energy, why is it that I appear so different from you and you appear so different from the person next to you? And why is it that humans appear so different from plants or animals? It is because that everything has its own vibratory frequency or signature, just like we all have our own unique thumbprints. And similarly, every single thing in the universe, in fact, even if you take one tree, no two leaves of the same tree are going to be exactly the same. So everything in this universe is unique. Everything has its own unique vibrational signature. That's why everything appears so different. So everything is different. Each and every crystal has its own frequency, so to speak. But when you start working with crystals, one of the things you will learn is that you can charge the crystals with your own life force energy, with your own chi or pranic energy. So it doesn't really matter which crystal you pick, but if working with crystals is something that you are really interested in, then one of the things that I suggest is when you go to a store to buy a crystal, just see which crystal just stands out to you, what you are attracted towards naturally. Another thing you could do is maybe just close your eyes and pick up a random crystal and see how it feels in your body. See what kind of feelings and emotions that crystal is generating in you. Then pick up another random crystal and check, does it feel expansive in your heart or in your body, or does it feel like a contraction? If it feels like an expansion, then it is good for you. If it feels like a contraction, then it is not the crystal for you at this time. So that is one of the easiest way to choose which crystal to work with. And when it comes to energizing your crystals with Reiki, it is pretty simple. You just energize the crystal with whatever positive emotion or energy that you want to energize it with. And that is pretty much it. You can use that crystal during your meditation session by simply holding that crystal in your hand while meditating, or visualizing that crystal in your mind's eye, or just focusing on that crystal, making that crystal as your object of attention. So those are just some of the techniques that you could use if you really are interested in incorporating crystal work along with your energy work for releasing any negative energy. But my main suggestion would be this: to not look at the universe, or to not categorize energy into negative and positive, but just to accept it as energy, because at its core is just energy, is just energy. So when you just remember that it's just energy, everything in this universe is just energy, you don't really have anything to fear against. You don't really have anything to run away from. You don't really have anything to hide from or protect yourself from. And when you do that, then it makes you more energetically strong. Because when you are at a fearful state, when you feel like you need to be protected, that is coming from a place of vulnerability. And the universe does not really listen to your words, but it picks up on your energy. Whatever energy you are sending out into the universe is what you will get back. So when you feel like you need protection from negative energy, then that is really a place of feeling vulnerable, feeling a little insecure, feeling a little bit of self-doubt. And when you are in that place, then your whole body's energy is at a much weaker place. Like literally, there has been scientific studies that show that fear-based emotions causes your immune system to become weaker. And positive emotions, life-enforcing emotions, makes your immune system become stronger. So literally speaking, scientifically speaking as well, when you are feeling fearful, insecure, and vulnerable, not just your energy system is vulnerable, but even at an immune level, your body feels that vulnerability. So I would always suggest that before you start taking any physical action about letting go of fear by using crystals and Reiki, take the necessary mental and emotional action to let go of the fear mentally and emotionally through meditation and through just self-inquiry, just looking within and facing the fear, whatever fear it is, and really checking that is this your fear to begin with? Is there really any rational reason for you to feel that fear in the first place? Is this even your fear, or where did you take it up from? And once you start really facing your fear head on, you will see that often the fear will just dissolve. Because remember that fear is false evidence appearing real. So I know that your question was not about fear. It was about letting go of negative energy. And even though I spoke a lot about fear, but it is the same thing. When you are trying to resist negative energy, you are trying to avoid or push away negative energy. It is usually coming from a place of a little bit of insecurity and vulnerability, maybe a little bit of doubt, when you are not really sure if there is anything negative lingering around after a Reiki session. And that is the reason why I focused or emphasized so much on letting go of fear instead of letting go of negative energy specifically, because often it is not the negative energy that does anything, but it is the fear about the negative energy that attracts more of fearful circumstances or situations. So I hope that this video made sense. If you like this video, then like it and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions, then feel free to leave your comment below. Bye for now.